The bark that didn't quit. The wind howled through the broken windows of the dilapidated building like it had a voice of its own, low, cruel, almost laughing. Inside, on a mattress that wasn't really a mattress anymore, just soaked foam and torn cloth, Safiya lay curled into herself, ribs sharp under her skin, lips cracked, hair tangled with dust. Her eyes were open, but they didn't look alive. Please. Her voice was a whisper trapped behind pain. Just one more day. Footsteps echoed somewhere above, drunken, careless. A man's voice floated down, loud enough to be heard, not loud enough to care. Leave her. She's already finished. Safiya's throat tightened as if it could swallow her tears. That voice, her husband's friend. The same man who once smiled at her wedding and called her sister. She tried to sit up. Her body refused. Every breath felt like a blade. 2 months ago, she was still a wife of the home, a name that meant something, and a husband who held her hand in public. Then came the accident. Safiya found the documents, the hidden accounts, the photos of another woman. When she confronted her husband, Hamza, his eyes didn't show guilt. They showed calculation. You think you can ruin me? Hamza had said, leaning closer, his breath calm. You're nothing without me. The next day, she vanished from her own life. Hamza told people she left, told her mother she ran away, told the world she was unstable. But Safiya hadn't run. She'd been dragged into this abandoned building, beaten until her voice became a memory, and locked away like a shameful secret. Now, in the gray morning light filtering through shattered glass, she heard something different. A soft pad-pad, a pause. Safiya blinked slowly. The sound came again, closer. Then a silhouette appeared in the doorway. A large dog, sleek and powerful, a dark coat dusted with rain, eyes bright like polished amber. The dog stared at her, still, silent, intense. Safiya's lips trembled. She didn't know why, but the sight of that animal made something inside her crack open. Go, she whispered. Please, don't come closer. They'll hurt you too. The dog didn't move away. Instead, it walked forward carefully, like it understood pain. It sniffed the air, then whined, low and urgent. It nudged her hand with its nose. Safiya's fingers barely responded, but she felt warmth. A tear slid down her cheek. I'm not worth saving. The dog let out a sudden bark, sharp, angry, as if rejecting her words. Then it turned and ran. Safiya's heart dropped. No, wait! But the dog was already gone, sprinting up the stairs, claws tapping like a countdown. Minutes passed. Safiya listened, half delirious, half praying. Then she heard it. Chaos. Men shouting. A door slamming. Another bark, fierce, relentless. And then something that made Safiya's blood turn to ice. Hamza's voice, closer than it had ever been since her captivity. Where's that cursed dog? He roared. Catch it before it brings someone here. Safiya forced her body to move, dragging herself with shaking arms. Her breath came out in broken pieces. Her eyes widened in terror. If Hamza was here, it meant one thing. The dog had led him straight to her. And if Hamza found her alive, he wouldn't leave her alive again. Safiya heard footsteps pounding down the stairs, fast, furious. She tried to crawl toward the corner, toward darkness, toward anywhere, but the footsteps stopped right outside the doorway. A shadow filled the entrance, and Hamza's voice came softly, almost lovingly. Safiya, he said, so you're still breathing. Safiya's whole body froze, because behind Hamza, in the hallway, the dog stood again, this time not alone. A man's voice, calm and commanding, followed, step away from her. Safiya couldn't see who it was yet. Only the edge of an expensive shoe, the quiet confidence in the tone. Hamza laughed nervously. Who are you supposed to be? The voice replied, colder now. The man who owns that dog, and the man who just found your biggest mistake. Safiya's vision blurred, hope and fear colliding. And then the stranger stepped into view. She recognized him instantly from billboards, news clips, and the world's gossip. Billionaire Ayaan Qureshi. And he was looking at Hamza like a judge ready to sentence. But Hamza's hand slipped into his jacket. and Safiya saw the metallic glint of something that made her scream without sound. The price of a secret. Hamza's smile didn't reach his eyes. The weapon in his hand wasn't a gun like in movies. It was smaller, uglier, and more believable. A folding knife, blade flicking open with a cold click that echoed in Safiya's skull. Billionaire Ayan Qureshi didn't flinch. His dog, Shadow, shifted its stance, shoulders rolling forward, lips curling back to show teeth like white knives of their own. Hamza lifted the blade. You rich people always think your money makes you untouchable. Ayan's voice stayed calm. No, I think your fear makes you predictable. Hamza scoffed, but his eyes flicked around. The building was empty, broken, forgotten. Perfect place for crimes. Perfect place for someone like Hamza to feel powerful. Ayan took one step forward, slow and measured. Put it down. Hamza snapped. Or what? Your dog bites me? Then you'll pay for my medical bills with pocket change. Shadow growled deeper, the sound vibrating through the room. Safiya tried to speak, tried to warn Ayan. Her mouth opened, but only a rasp came out. Ayan's gaze flicked to her, and for half a second, the billionaire's face cracked, just a sliver, like he was seeing something beyond bruises and dirt, like he was seeing a human being thrown away. He looked back at Hamza. You did this to her. Hamza shrugged. She asked for it. Wives should stay obedient. That sentence hit Safiya harder than the cold floor ever did. Ayan's jaw tightened. You don't get to decide someone's worth based on your ego. Hamza's voice turned sharp. You don't know anything. She was going to expose me, ruin everything I built. Ayan's eyes narrowed. Everything you stole, you mean? Hamza paused. What did you say? Ayan didn't answer. Instead, he pulled his phone out, slowly, openly, showing he wasn't reaching for a weapon. He pressed a button. A voice came through the speaker. Sir, police are on standby. Location confirmed. Hamza's face drained of color. You called the police? Ayan's smile was thin. Not just the police. Hamza lunged forward suddenly, blade aimed at Ayan's chest. Shadow exploded into motion. The dog launched itself with a force that looked unreal, slamming into Hamza's side. The knife skidded across the floor, clattering near Safiya's trembling fingers. Hamza crashed into a wall, shouting, Get off me, you filthy! Shadow barked, snapping inches from Hamza's throat. Not biting yet, warning, controlling. Ayan's voice dropped. Shadow, stay! The dog held position like a trained soldier. Hamza scrambled up, panting, rage flashing. Then he grabbed a rusted metal rod from the debris. He swung it toward Shadow. No! Safiya croaked, her voice finally breaking free. Ayan moved fast, faster than a man in a tailored coat should. He caught Hamza's wrist mid-swing and twisted. The rod fell. Hamza screamed, You think you're a hero? She's my wife. Ayan leaned close. A wife is not property. Hamza spat on the ground. Then why is she here? Why didn't she save herself? Ayan's eyes went dangerously still. Because you broke her trust before you broke her body. Hamza's expression shifted. Sudden panic. He backed away, eyes darting to stairs. I'm leaving. This is none of your business. Ayan didn't stop him. He just watched, phone still in his hand. Hamza ran. Safiya sagged, collapsing against the wall, heart hammering, shaking like she might shatter. Ayan knelt beside her, careful not to touch her without permission. Can you tell me your name? Safiya's eyes fluttered. Safiya. Ayan nodded once, as if locking it into memory. Safiya, I'm getting you out of here. She laughed weakly, a broken sound. Why would you care? Ayan's gaze flickered to Shadow, who pressed close to Safiya's side like a guardian. Because my dog cared first. Safiya's throat tightened. He found me. Ayan swallowed something heavy. Shadow doesn't like cruelty. He can sense it. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Getting closer. Safiya felt dizzy. My husband, he'll come back. He always comes back. Ayan's voice turned firm. Not this time. Safiya tried to lift her hand toward the knife near her fingers, but her strength was gone. Ion noticed. His eyes sharpened. Did he threaten you before? Safiya's lips trembled. He said, if I ever spoke, he'd make sure no one found my body. Ion's face hardened. Then we make sure the whole world finds the truth. Footsteps echoed from upstairs. More than one person now. Men shouting. Ion stood quickly, placing himself between Safiya and the doorway. Shadow stepped forward too. A voice yelled from above, furious and familiar. Safiya, if you don't come out quietly, I'll burn this place down with you inside. Safiya's blood turned to ice. Ion's eyes narrowed. He brought friends. Shadow barked, angry, protective. Ion picked up the fallen knife, not to attack, but to keep it away from Safiya. He glanced down at her. Can you stand? Safiya tried. Her legs failed. Ion cursed under his breath, not in anger, but in urgency. The footsteps were thundering down now. The men were coming, and Hamza's voice was louder than ever, close enough to touch. Fire doesn't purify lies. Hamza held the bottle up like a trophy. The smell hit the room instantly, sharp, chemical, deadly. Ion didn't move. Shadow did. The dog stood at the front, body tense, eyes locked on Hamza like a warning written in flesh. Hamza's friends laughed behind him. Cheap laughter, the kind that belonged to men who had never been held accountable. Look at you, Hamza sneered at Ion. A billionaire in a broken building. You don't belong here. Ion's voice was quiet. Neither do criminals. Hamza tipped the bottle, letting a stream of fuel splash onto the cracked floor. One spark, and this story ends. No wife, no scandal, no hero. Safiya tried to scream. Her throat wouldn't let her. Ion's hand tightened around his phone. He kept it low, subtle. Hamza, you don't want to add arson and murder to your list. Hamza smirked. You think I care about lists? I care about freedom. One of Hamza's men stepped forward, pointing at Safiya. Boss, just finish it. She's already half dead. Safiya flinched like the words were stones. Ion's gaze snapped to the man. Say that again. The man froze. Something in Ion's tone wasn't money. It was authority, the kind that comes from never being told no. Hamza waved a lighter. Stop talking. Start praying. Shadow growled, and this time it wasn't a warning. It was a promise. Hamza flicked the lighter once, nothing. Again, flame. Safiya's eyes widened. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. She couldn't run. She couldn't fight. She couldn't even stand. Ion stepped slightly to the side, blocking her with his body. Shadow, he said, not loud but clear. The dog didn't leap yet. He waited for the command like a disciplined guardian. Hamza's thumb hovered over the lighter's wheel. Any last words, billionaire? Ion looked him dead in the eye. Yes, you're already caught. Hamza laughed. By who? Your imagination? Ion raised his phone, and for the first time, Safiya noticed a red at the top of the screen. Recording. Hamza's smile slipped. Turn that off. Ion didn't. Say her name again. Threaten her again. Let the world hear what kind of man you are. Hamza stepped forward fast, rage boiling. Give me that. Shadow moved like lightning. He lunged, jaws clamping down on Hamza's sleeve, yanking him back. The lighter flew from Hamza's hand, skidding across the fuel-soaked floor. Time slowed. Ion sprinted, not toward the lighter, but toward Safiya. He wrapped one arm behind her shoulders, lifting her carefully, feeling how little weight she had. Safiya gasped, dizzy. I can't. You can, Ion said, not because you're strong today, because you're still here. The lighter sparked against the ground. Flame kissed the fuel. A line of fire raced across the floor like a living thing, crawling toward the corner where Safiya had been lying moments ago. Hamza screamed, trying to shake Shadow off. Get this dog off me. The other two men rushed forward. Ion carried Safiya toward the stairwell, but one of the men blocked the way, swinging a metal pipe. Ion stopped, turning his body so Safiya was behind him. Move. The man laughed. Or what? Ion didn't answer. Shadow did. Shadow released Hamza and charged the man with the pipe, slamming into him, knocking him to the floor. The pipe clanged away. The second man grabbed Ayan's coat, trying to pull him back into the firelit room. Safiya's head lolled, her vision blurring. Ayan, please. Ayan's voice sharpened. Touch me again, and I'll make sure you never touch anyone again. The man sneered. You? You won't do anything. Ayan twisted his grip, using leverage, and slammed the man into the wall hard enough to steal his breath. Then Ayan stepped over him, carrying Safiya up the stairs. Smoke climbed behind them, thickening. Below, Hamza staggered up, coughing, furious. His face was lit by flames, making him look like something inhuman. You think you win? Hamza shouted. She signed papers. She's legally nothing. No one will believe her over me. Safiya's eyes snapped open. Papers? Ayan paused mid-step. What papers? Safiya's voice trembled. He forced me to sign something in the car. I didn't see. Hamza's grin widened even as smoke curled around him. Exactly. She's declared mentally unfit. I own everything, even her story. Ayan's face hardened. You falsified legal documents. Hamza lifted his chin. Prove it. The stairwell shook as something exploded below. A burst of flame, a collapsing beam. Ayan coughed, eyes watering. He kept climbing. At the top, daylight spilled in like a miracle through a broken roof entrance. Cold air hit Safiya's face. Sirens were closer now, but then Ayan saw it. A shadow moving across the roofline. A fourth man, holding something long and black. A gun. Safiya's breath caught. The man aimed down at Ayan in shadow. Hamza's voice rose from below, triumphant. I told you this story ends today. Ayan froze, shielding Safiya instinctively. Shadow stood in front, bracing. The gunman's finger tightened on the trigger. The witness with 4 legs. Safiya screamed, a raw sound that came from somewhere deeper than lungs, deeper than fear. Shadow hit the roof hard, yelping once. His body slid across the gravel and stopped near Ayan's feet. Ayan dropped to his knees instantly, forgetting smoke, forgetting danger, forgetting everything except the dog who had just chosen death. Shadow. Ayan's hands pressed against the dog's side. Warm blood soaked his palms. Shadow's eyes were still open, still fighting. The gunman cursed under his breath, stepping back. Boss said make it clean. Ayan looked up, eyes burning. You shot my dog. The gunman lifted the weapon again. And I'll shoot you too. Sirens screamed louder, close now. Shouts echoed from below. The gunman hesitated. He hadn't expected authorities. He hadn't expected noise. Safiya clung to Ayan's shoulder weakly. Please don't leave him. Ayan's jaw clenched. I'm not. He pulled off his belt with shaking hands, wrapping it tightly around Shadow's wound to slow the bleeding. Shadow whimpered, then tried to lick Ayan's hand like he was apologizing for pain. Ayan's voice broke for the first time. Don't you dare die on me. The gunman stepped closer, nervous now, eyes flicking to the stairwell. I'm not going to prison for this. Ayan reached into his coat pocket slowly, not for a weapon, but for a small device. He clicked it. A sharp, piercing alarm erupted from somewhere nearby. High, loud, unmistakable. The gunman jolted. What the? Ayan's eyes were cold. Silent security beacon. My team is 2 blocks away. The gunman backed up. You're bluffing. Ayan didn't answer. He lifted his phone again, still recording. Smile. The police will love this. The gunman cursed and ran toward the far edge of the roof, leaping down to a lower section, disappearing into a maze of broken buildings. Safiya's head spun. She could barely stay conscious, but she forced her eyes open, watching Ayan's hands work to keep Shadow alive. You love him, she whispered. Ayan didn't look up. He saved my life once. Safiya blinked. How? Ayan swallowed hard. Years ago, I was a poor boy sleeping near a market. Thieves tried to kill me for a bag I didn't even own. A stray dog fought them off. I fed him with my last coins. I promise if I ever became someone, I'd never ignore suffering again. He glanced at Shadow. Shadow was the first creature to make me keep that promise. Safiya's tears fell onto her cheeks, mixing with soot. And today he saved me. Ayan nodded once, and he exposed a monster. The stairwell door burst open. Police officers flooded onto the roof with weapons drawn. Hands where we can see them. Ayan lifted both hands, careful. Officer, she's the victim. My dog has been shot. The suspects are fleeing. An officer ran to Safiya, his expression shifting from suspicion to shock. Ma'am, are you okay? Safiya tried to speak, but her voice collapsed into sobs. Another officer radioed in. We need an ambulance now. An animal emergency. Possible GSW on dog. Below, flames still roared, but firefighters were arriving, hoses uncoiling like lifelines. Hamza's voice echoed from the lower floors, angry, panicked, yelling orders. He was trying to escape. Ayan stood, eyes fixed on the stairwell. Hamza's going to run. A police sergeant snapped, We've got units on every side. Ayan's phone was still recording. I have his confession on audio and video. Threats, arson, attempted murder. The officer nodded sharply. Good. We'll need it. Safiya grabbed the sergeant's sleeve with trembling fingers. He made papers, said I'm mentally unfit. He'll take everything. The sergeant frowned. We'll investigate. Ayan stepped closer to Safiya, voice gentle but firm. Safiya, listen to me. The legal system can be slow. Lies can be loud. But truth is stubborn. Safiya's eyes glistened. What if no one believes me? Ayan looked at her like he was making a vow. Then I'll make them. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics lifted Safiya onto a stretcher. Her body protested, but her mind clung to one thought. Shadow. They wheeled Shadow too, carefully, his breathing shallow. Safiya reached toward him, barely able to move her fingers. Thank you, she whispered. You didn't even know me. Shadow's eyes blinked slowly, as if he did, as they loaded into the ambulance. Safiya saw Hamza through a broken window below, running, his clothes smeared with soot, face twisted with rage. He looked up. Their eyes met, and Hamza smiled. A cold, confident smile. He mouthed two words so clearly Safiya felt them like a slap. Watch me. Then he disappeared into smoke. Ayan climbed into the ambulance beside Safiya. His gaze locked ahead like he was already planning the next move. Safiya's voice trembled. He'll come for me again. Ayan's reply was immediate. Then this time, we meet him in daylight. Safiya tried to hold on to hope, but fear was a powerful thing. Because Hamza wasn't just cruel. He was connected. And Safiya suddenly remembered something a name Hamza once bragged about on the phone. Minister Sahib. Her eyes widened. She turned to Ayan, panic returning like fire. Ayan, Hamza has people, powerful people. Ayan's eyes narrowed. Who? Safiya swallowed. A minister? I heard him promising Hamza protection. The ambulance doors slammed shut. The siren screamed as they sped away. Ayan stared forward, expression darkening. Then he said quietly, This isn't just a rescue. Safiya's heart sank. What is it? Ayan's voice turned deadly calm. It's a war. The day truth learned to roar. Safiya's hands shook so badly, the phone nearly slipped from her fingers. The message glowed like poison. If you testify, your mother dies. Her breath stopped. Her stomach folded in on itself. Ayan noticed instantly. What is it? Safiya couldn't speak at first. She simply turned the screen toward him. Ayan read it once. Then again. His eyes didn't widen. They sharpened. Do you have your mother's location? He asked. Safiya's throat tightened. She lives alone. She thinks I ran away. Hamza told her I left because I was ashamed. Ayan nodded slowly. That's how abusers win. They isolate. They rewrite reality. Safiya's voice cracked. I can't let her die because of me. Ayan leaned closer, his tone steady, grounding. Listen carefully. This threat means one thing. Hamza is scared. Safiya shook her head. Or confident. Ayan's gaze hardened. No, confident men don't send desperate messages. The ambulance rocked over a pothole. Safiya winced, pain pulsing through bruises and ribs. But her fear was louder than pain. Ayan dialed a number. Send protection team to this address immediately. Quietly. No sirens. And get a secure phone trace on this number. A pause. Ayan's jaw tightened. I don't care how much it costs. Do it now. He hung up and turned to Safiya. You're not alone anymore. Safiya stared at him like she didn't know how to accept those words. People say that when it's easy. Ayan's voice softened. I'm saying it when it's dangerous. At the hospital, doctors move fast. Safiya was cleaned, scanned, stitched, and fed small sips of warm broth like her body was learning to trust nourishment again. Shadow was taken to emergency surgery. Safiya lay in a private room Ayan arranged without asking. She watched the ceiling, feeling strange, safe, but unfamiliar. Ayan walked in hours later. Face exhausted, suit rumpled, eyes still sharp. Shadow made it through surgery, he said. Safiya burst into tears. Pure relief, the kind that comes after surviving too long without kindness. He lived? Ayan nodded. He's strong. Like you. Safiya whispered, I don't feel strong. Ayan pulled a chair beside her bed. Strength isn't feeling. It's a decision you keep making even when you're terrified. Safiya turned her face away. Shame rising. I stayed. I trusted Hamza. I ignored the signs. Ayan's voice was firm but gentle. That's not your crime. That's his. The door opened. A police investigator entered, holding a folder thick with papers. We caught one of the men, the investigator said. He flipped fast when he realized the video exists. Safiya's heartbeat quickened. What about Hamza? The investigator's expression tightened. He's not in custody. Yet. But he slid a document forward. We found something bigger. Safiya stared at the papers, eyes scanning, confusion turning to horror. A psychiatric evaluation report, a court filing, a request for guardianship. Safiya's name printed across the top like a verdict. They declared you mentally unfit, the investigator said. It's forged, but it was filed. Safiya's hands trembled. He tried to erase me legally. Ayan leaned forward, voice icy now. That's attempted legal murder. The investigator hesitated. There's more. The filing was expedited by an influential office. Safiya's blood ran cold. The minister? Ayan's eyes narrowed. Name. The investigator gave it. Safiya's world tilted. It wasn't just any politician. It was someone whose face had been on posters, speeches, charity events. Ayan stood. Then we don't just fight Hamza. We fight the system that shields him. Safiya shook her head frantically. They'll destroy us. Ayan replied, they'll try. Later that night, Safiya sat with Ayan in a quiet conference room inside the hospital wing. Her hands held a cup of tea she barely drank. Ayan set his phone on the table. Tomorrow morning, you will tell your story. Safiya froze. I can't. The message, my mother. Ayan tapped his phone. My team has your mother. She's safe in a secure location. She's confused, angry, crying, but she's alive. Safiya's lips parted. You moved her? Ayan nodded. Protection isn't a promise. It's an action. Safiya covered her mouth, sobbing, half relief, half grief for the months lost. Ayan continued. We have the video of Hamza threatening you. We have witness statements. We have forensic evidence from the building. And we have a confession from one of his men. Safiya's voice shook. But the minister... Ayan's gaze turned sharp as steel. The minister will either step away from Hamza, or we will expose how deep the corruption goes. Safiya whispered, How? Ayan pushed a file toward her. Hamza's money trail. Offshore transfers. Fake invoices. Bribes. You weren't just his wife, Safiya. She looked up confused. Ayan's voice lowered. You were his alibi, his cover, his respectable life. And the moment you threatened that, he tried to bury you. Safiya's chest tightened. So what do I do? Ayan met her eyes. You stop surviving in silence. Safiya stared at the folder, then at her trembling hands. She imagined Hamza's smile, his threats, his knife, the fuel. Then she remembered Shadow's eyes, how the dog had looked at her like her life mattered even when she didn't. Safiya took a shaky breath. If I speak, they'll come. Ayan nodded. Yes. Safiya swallowed. And if I stay quiet, more women will end up like me. Ayan's voice softened. That's the real choice. Safiya closed her eyes, and when she opened them, there was something new there. Fear still, but also fire. Okay, she said. I'll testify. The next morning, cameras flashed outside the courthouse. News vans lined the street. People whispered as Safiya stepped out of the car in a simple outfit, hair neatly tied, bruises still visible because she refused to hide them. Ayan walked beside her. Shadow, bandaged but standing, walked on the other side. Slow, proud, living proof. Hamza stood at the courthouse steps, wearing a clean suit, pretending to be calm. His eyes narrowed when he saw Shadow alive. Safiya met Hamza's gaze, and for the first time, she didn't look away. Hamza's lips moved, silent threat. You'll regret this. Safiya lifted her chin and walked forward anyway. Inside, the judge listened. The courtroom listened. The world listened. Safiya spoke about the building, the beatings, the lies, the forged documents, the threat against her mother. Hamza's mask cracked. The judge ordered immediate arrest. Hamza tried to run, but this time there was nowhere to hide. When the handcuffs clicked, Safiya felt something in her chest unlock, a door she thought had been sealed forever. Outside, reporters shouted questions. Safiya looked into cameras, voice steady. I'm not a disgrace. I'm evidence. Months later, Safiya stood in a small community center opening ceremony. A sign behind her read, "The Shadow House, a safe place for women who need a second chance." Ayan stood in the back quietly, letting her have the spotlight. Shadow sat near Safiya's feet, tail thumping. Safiya spoke to the women gathered there, her voice warm and unwavering. I learned something, she said. You don't have to be rich to be powerful. You just have to refuse to disappear. The room applauded. Some cried. Some smiled like they were seeing a future for the first time. Safiya looked down at Shadow and whispered, You saved me. Ayan's voice floated from behind, soft. No. Safiya turned. Ayan met her eyes with a small smile. Shadow found you. I helped you, but you saved yourself the moment you chose to tell the truth. Safiya breathed in, feeling sunlight on her face. Real sunlight, not broken window light. Her life wasn't over. It was finally hers.